Hi guys. So I'm going to be reviewing this book, Winning the War Against Poverty by Bishop David.O. This is not to make you guys lazy, for you not to read the book itself by yourself, but it's just to encourage you that you should definitely grab a copy. So I want to go in depth. I will not just talk generally about the book, but I'll take each chapter at a time. I hope you guys will stick with me on this journey. It's a long one. This book is made up of 15 chapters, 15 amazing chapters, and most of the references here are from the Bible. That's the King James Version. So I'm just going to dive right into it. There's no time to waste. All right. So for the introduction, immediately you open this book. For the introduction, you're just going to see something like poverty stinks, poverty bites, poverty humiliates, poverty heals. All these you can see from the reference of the Bible from Psalms chapter 103 verse 5. So for the first chapter, the topic is forces of economic recovery. So in this chapter, it's just like a background information. Sorry. It's just like general background information about the Great Depression and various economic crises which different countries have been through in the past. So it talks about the history and present of various economic recession. So it points out Joseph's example from the Bible, but it didn't really go in depth into it. And then it also talks about the richness of the earth, the creation of the earth by God. All those you see in Genesis chapter 1, verse 26 to 30. You will also come down to, and then with respect to Joseph's story as an example, it went detailedly. When you are like reading throughout chapter 1, it really went in depth to really explain the example of Joseph. Then it also talked about the recovery of economic depression. So of course the best example was highlighted with the American Depression, how they recovered, and the fact that America is a leading economic country today. So it talked about the fact that today, the world's economy is determined by the value of the American dollar. And named other examples such as Singapore, when Ghana helped Singapore, but today Singapore is far much better than Ghana. And then I'm just going to go to the juicy part, which is the important quotes. Guys, this book is full of amazing quotes, which I just want you guys to hear it. I'm sure when you hear this quote, you will want to understand more about it, because I'm not going to elaborate. I'll leave that to you to go and grab a copy and buy. Nobody's paying me to do this, guys. I'm also trying to get out of I can't say I'm poor, but I'm not rich. So I'm also trying to get out of a very stagnant lifestyle, and I don't want to go alone. That's why I'm bringing as many people as I can along with me. So the first quote is, winning the war against poverty begins with a correct diagnosis. You cannot determine a cure for a particular condition without knowing the cause. So winning the war against poverty begins with a correct diagnosis. Go and read it out, okay? It takes possessing a possibility mentality to recover your economic dignity. It takes possessing a possibility mentality to recover your economic dignity. Just go and study it. I will not explain. Next quote is, the voice of a poor man is not heard, and his words are despised. You see this in Ecclesiastes chapter 9 from verse 14 to 17. We all know that that's true now. People work in companies, they solve problems and bring great ideas, and the CEO takes all the glory. That's it. Okay, so it's all it takes to recover from an economic depression or failure is to know where to begin from and start treating the disease from there. All it takes to recover from an economic depression or failure is to know where it begins from. And all begins where? Mentality. So it's highlighted in the book, mentality. All begins in your mind. Your mind, your mind. That's where it all begins. Next quote is they gave more examples about the industrial revolution and the slave trade, and how most of us Africans still today we still have this slavery mentality. We still believe so much in racism. I know that racism exists, but there's a way that this book really explains it that will make you change your mindset about racism, and how it really should not be a reason why you should not succeed. Okay, so we have examples from JF Kennedy, President JF Kennedy, where he said, do not always ask yourself who will give you something, but always think about the fact of you contributing something to the country or to the society. So I'm not going to put the American stuff there, but it's just an example, just an illustration to say don't always ask for something. Don't always ask that people should do something for you, but think about the fact that you too can be a contributor to another person's life, or to a community, or to your own country. Yeah. So the next one is, until your poverty mentality is healed, your prosperity is not in view. Until your poverty mentality is healed, your prosperity is not in view. Aha. Next one. Okay, let me just explain this without actually like reading. The next one is just talking about the fact that we know that most successful Africans in the world today stemmed from either being a celebrity in sports or entertainment. So it's always about sports and entertainment industry that we see a lot of blacks, we see a lot of Africans, we see a lot of African Americans thriving. So because they believe that if you do not get to the finish line, if you don't make those scores or those goals, you are not going to be considered a winner. I'm sorry for this background noise. I live in Africa and we have Shumendas. I'm so sorry. Okay, so if you do not, the Africans here, they believe that there's nothing about racism when it comes to do with you getting to the finish line. Whether you're black, white, or green, you have to get to the finish line. But when it comes to thriving in other industries, other specific industries, we have little or no blacks involved, because they just believe that they are going to be criticized, or they are not going to be treated with respect or treated the same as other people just because of their color. So they just believe that the only way they can succeed in life is either in sports or the entertainment industry, but that's not true. There are lots of other industries which blacks can find themselves inside and be successful. All right, you have to go and read to really understand everything and how it's explained. So the next one is the law of concept of equality of destiny is the cheapest way to maintain a healthy mentality. The law of concept of equality and destiny is the cheapest way to maintain a healthy mentality. It will ginger you to refuse a position of degradation and deprivation. It will ginger you to refuse a position of degradation and deprivation. The next one is physiologically, that's what the book explains. There is no difference between races in organs or as systems or anything. So the book goes on to explain why there are many people in the Western world who buy organs from India, from Africa, like kidneys and the rest, because they know that it's very expensive in their own country. So someone who is from India, his kidney will work perfectly for someone who is white. Why is that? I mean, if everything being equal after all the testing and all that, it will work perfectly, because physiologically we are all the same. We're all made and created by God. So there is no difference between a white and a black when it comes to our internal organs. Even our brain cells, it's all the same. All brain cells are wired the same. The difference now is how to decide to put it to use. That's the only difference. How do we decide to put all these things that the natural blessings which were already embedded with by God, how do we put them to use to create results? That's the difference. So God is, excuse, God is the same for us all. There is no difference because God is not a respecter of persons. You see that from Bible reference, Acts chapter 10, verse 34. Then we have another quote: as a man thinks in his heart, so is he. Proverbs chapter 23, verse 7. Until you construct your thinking pattern, you can't change your environment. Until you reconstruct your thinking pattern, you cannot change your environment. Proverbs 22, verse 7. Black is not synonymous to lack. We know that the media always portrays Africa to be a very poor continent, homelessness, and a lot of kids moving around naked with no food. Marasmus has eaten them all, or kwashoko. That's the kind of thing that those are the kind of things that the media puts out there when it comes to, Africans. So people just believe, and we ourselves, it's difficult. You can tell that it's difficult to for someone to appreciate you, like you look good today. It's like you're enjoying. You'll be like, no, I'm not enjoying. Have you seen me enjoying before? Like, it's just as if the thought of us being comfortable is something which we should avoid and just do secretly, which is not supposed to be like that, because God has already blessed us all. So black is not synonymous to lack. Poverty is not a native of Africa, okay, but a traveler that strays only where it is welcomed. Poverty is a traveler that stays only where it is welcome, where it is honored, where it is always talked about, where it is always preached about. That's where it will relax. And if your mind inhabits or harbors the thoughts of poverty, it will become comfortable in your mind. That's just how it is. Okay, we will go down to the fact that you ask yourself, what am I to act? Is the mindset of a great leader, but what am I to receive is the mentality of slaves. That's it. Go and read, you understand better. Seeking the means of livelihood alone is a poor man's mentality. You shouldn't focus your mind on only seeking livelihood, trying to succeed. It's me and my family, me and my kids, me and my wife. It shouldn't be like that. You should always think about how you can improve other people's lives. That's how you get out of poverty. Again, a change of perspective is the cheapest way to experience a change of position. Go and study, you understand better. The healing of your mentality is the beginning of the recovery of your dignity. The healing of your mentality is the beginning of the recovery of your dignity. And last but not the least, the quality of your mentality is what determines the quality of your destiny. This is just chapter 1, guys. I told you I'm going to be going in depth because I don't want to rush it. I just want it to be like a small series for you guys, for anybody who is interested in reading, or for anybody who is lazy. I used to be that type who was very lazy. I preferred audio books, but sometimes it's difficult. You get distracted, your phone will ring, you have to check a notification. I've decided to start buying hard copies no matter how difficult it is. I want to train my mind. So please, this video is just to encourage you. These are some of the quotes for just chapter 1. Remember, there are 15 chapters, so please try as much as possible and get this book. Like I said, I'm not there yet financially. I want to grow, and I just don't want to grow alone. If you check online, you will see there are many people who review books, and majority of them are not even in Africa. Just few YouTubers out there review books, especially from African authors. So I want us to have a sense of just like, let's just change that structure. Let's, as young Africans, let's try to start reading more books. That is the only way we'll beat this poverty and change the mindset of how everyone out there sees Africa. Okay, so let's try to be more informative, more knowledgeable, and to have more wisdom. And you can't do all those things without bending your head and studying. So when you are done with the university, it doesn't mean that's it. Okay, it doesn't mean that. So like I said, When you are done with your university program, that's not the end of studying, that's just the beginning. You have to keep on studying, you have to keep on filling your mind with a lot of positive things that will change your life for the better. You don't have to stop, say, oh, I'm done with school, let me rest. That's when the real school begins, when you are done with school. I've been a graduate now for over 4 years, and trust me, I'm still studying like never before. I used to have that mentality that when you're done with school, that's it, you don't have to read any more books. Then you were studying to go and write a particular exam, but now you are studying for the exam of your life. This is exams of your lifetime. You have to keep on studying. Okay, so I'm here to encourage young African youths out there to buy books, make it a habit to buy books, good books. I'm here to promote mostly African authors. Not that I will not review other books from other authors, but I'm here to promote mostly African authors. Let us try to be different. Let our generation not be all up, not only be about social media and twerking and stuff like that. I'm not criticizing those guys, but I'm just saying that let us not just waste our time complaining about our government, complaining about everyone else, and not blaming ourselves. We need to change. If you need to have a good enough life in the future, you need to start now. And how do you start? By reading. Most of the people you admire, they read books, they bend their heads are always down studying, but they have billions in their accounts, but they are still studying as if they have nothing. Then you who does not have even a million, you are sleeping and snoring, and you're wishing and praying and fasting, it will not work. So if those guys will look up to every day as studying back to back, and they are multi-billionaires. But if you look at their office, they have so many books there and they are still studying. Then what more us? We need to do better. So I'm just here to encourage you. Tomorrow I'll upload another video explaining chapter 2. We'll have to go this in depth, small. I just want to encourage you guys, okay? Thank you so much. Watch out for part 2. Bye.